So you're interested in sewing, but where do you even start? Well, that's exactly what we're covering today. It's not as complicated as it might seem, and you don't need to buy everything at once. Now, if you're feeling a little lost or overwhelmed, don't worry, I've got you covered. Welcome. I'm a sewist with over a decade of experience, and on this channel, I help you sew practical, stylish accessories that fit your life. So the first thing to think about when you're getting started is, what type of sewing is it that you want to do? The answer to this question will frame a lot of things moving forward, from what type of sewing machine you get, all the way to what type of instructions and what kind of instructor you're looking for. It's a different ballgame or different cup of tea,
however you want to look at it,
depending on what type of sewing it is that you want to do. So definitely put in some thought first to thinking about that before you go into the next step. Now, the second thing is that unless you want to hand sew everything, which I wouldn't recommend,
that'd be awfully time consuming,
is that you'll need a sewing machine. Now, there are a bunch of different types of sewing machines out there. There are mechanical ones, computerized ones, and ones that are geared more towards a specific type of sewing, such as either quilting or crafting or heavy-duty sewing. But don't worry, I have a guide that walks you through how to choose the best sewing machine for you. I'll link it here and in the description below. Now, I will be updating this video next week, so if you're watching this after 4/20, I'll already have the new version linked for you. Otherwise, stay tuned for next week. Now, the next thing you'll want to think about is some basic supplies and tools to start sewing. Now, there are a ton of tools out there that'll make sewing more easy and convenient later, but you actually only need a few to begin. One of the things you'll definitely need is a pair of fabric scissors. Now, you'll want to make sure that these are really sharp scissors so they can cut the fabric effectively. If you get regular scissors, they probably won't cut the fabric very well. So when you're looking for scissors, make sure to either check out the craft section of a regular store or check out a place like Michael's, Mood Fabrics, or Sewing Parts online that specializes in crafts and will have scissors that are specifically designated for sewing. Now, if you want to take things up a notch and make your life a lot easier, especially when cutting straight lines, then I would recommend that you also get a rotary cutter. I've been using a rotary cutter from the very beginning, and I use it a whole lot more than I ever have used scissors. In fact, I rarely use scissors at all. I pretty much exclusively use the rotary cutter unless for some reason I can't. It's a lot smoother and sharper, and I just think it's a little bit easier and quicker to get cuts done. But while scissors are a must, a rotary cutter is not, especially since in order to use a rotary cutter, you will also need a self-healing mat to cut things on, and it usually also comes with an acrylic ruler, which can make the price of getting a rotary cutter a lot more expensive than simply buying a regular pair of sewing scissors. Anyway, I do recommend it though, so if you're interested, I'll put a link in the description below to my favorite one. Now, another item that you're going to need at some point is thread. When starting out, I would recommend that you get all-purpose thread. You may not even need some of those other threads that are designed for different purposes. So just keep it simple by sticking with all-purpose thread. And if you're just starting out and you don't even have a sewing project on your list yet, then I just recommend either getting black and white or getting a thread multi-pack just to boost up your supplies. Another advantage of a thread multi-pack, in addition to building up your supplies, is that you can get a lot of thread spools for a much more affordable price than you would be able to get that same quantity individually. That's how I ended up filling up this thread spool rack behind me. Individually, thread spools can be a little bit expensive, so either start with black and white or get one of those multi-packs. If you're interested in getting a multi-pack, I'll put links down in the description below. Now, the next thing you'll need is something to hold the fabric in place, and that's where pins come in. Now, you can go with standard ballpoint needles like these, or you can get a pack of really fun ones like these flathead button pins. Personally, these are my favorite. I'll put a link to both in the description below. Now, another essential is machine needles and bobbins. Now, once you get your sewing machine, it will most likely come with a starter pack of both of these. So there's no need to buy extra right away. But when you do need more, or if for some odd reason they aren't included,
even though that's fairly standard at this point,
you'll want to check your manual to get the right type. Not all work with every machine. Now, another essential tool is a tape measure. You'll definitely need something to measure the fabric out and cut the pieces of your project. So you'll definitely want at least some measuring device, but a tape measure is probably the most versatile if you're just starting out, because if you can only have one tool, this allows you to measure around things as well as flat things and various distances. So if you're just looking for a simple measurement tool to start out with, measuring tape is the go-to. I'll put a link down in the description below to the one that I use, which I like because it's a little less plasticky than some of the others that you'll find and a little bit more sturdy. So check that out below. Now, I know it would be weird if I didn't mention fabric. So yes, of course you're going to need fabric when you start your first sewing project, but not just yet. For now, let's focus on getting the essential supplies together. Now, the only other thing I'd recommend that you get to begin with is a seam ripper. Some machines come with a mini one included in the accessories kit, just like this one. And if it does, then stick with that. This is good to go. But if not, you'll definitely want to get one for when you need to correct a mistake, or even as something as simple as opening a buttonhole or deconstructing an item for upcycling. This is my favorite one, which is easier to grip because of the size. And it also has rubber at each end to help collect thread snippets. I'll put a link to this one in the description below. Now, there's definitely more tools that you can explore later, but these are the only ones that you really need in order to get started sewing. Now, I do have a video already that goes a little bit more in depth to the things that I discussed here, which I'll link up here and in the description below if you want to check that out. Now, once you have your sewing machine and all the necessary supplies required to start sewing, you'll want to take some time to get to know your machine. Make sure to look at the manual.
I know, it sounds crazy.
But look at the manual because it has all of the details that you need to know and the specifics related to how your machine works and what part is what. Now, I also have videos on identifying the parts of your sewing machine, how to thread a machine, how to thread the bobbin, etc. You'll find those linked in the description below. Now, I will be updating these in the next few weeks, so stay tuned for those. And if you're watching these after roughly May 11th, then you'll find links to the new videos in the description already. Now, the last thing that you really need to know is that you can do this. You can learn to sew and you can do it yourself. You do not need an expensive sewing class. You can learn everything that you need to know here on YouTube, just like I did. I'm here to help you, and so are other creators. You can go at your own pace and find a way that works for you and your style of learning. And also, just know you don't have to sew like a professional in order to make awesome things. Some people act like there's only one right way to do things, but I believe in helping you find the way that works best for you. And lastly, sewing should be fun, and I'll be here to support you along the way. Now, if you found this video helpful, please hit the like button and subscribe. I've got more videos coming, including updated versions of how to choose a sewing machine, how to thread it, identifying the parts of a sewing machine, etc. So subscribe so you don't miss any of those. Now, really quick before you go, let me know in the comments what's one thing that you've been curious or confused about when it comes to sewing. I'd love to help. Bye. What's one thing you've been confurious? Now, another identifying the parts of your